monogamy is a practice. We are not by nature, biologically, evolutionary monogamous. It's a practice. It's a choice. And it's a choice.
Not our makeup.
No.
Yeah.
And it's a choice. And monogamy is a continuum. You have mind, you have fantasy, you have memory, you have a lot of things. At what point do we become non-monogamous? Where does non-monogamy start? And all of these concepts are fluid concepts today. There is just no way to define it like that.
Right.
So we make choices and we make compromises, and we sometimes don't just do what we want. And we often need to think about the consequences of our actions. And we need to think about the larger picture, and something that may be perfectly desirable for tonight may not be worth it for the next weeks and the next years.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that in the era of self-fulfillment and the right to happiness, we don't have more desires today than the previous generations. We just feel more entitled to fulfill our desires. And we feel that we have a right to be happy. My personal happiness. The switch, the greatest switch, is from a social organization in which I think about the well-being of others. Collectivist thinking thinks about the well-being of others, and I sacrifice my own individual needs for the well-being of others. To the other side of the continuum is, I have a right to pursue my individual needs, and the others will have to adapt to it. And I think that we are a little bit on the extreme end of the other side at this point. We really take ourselves a little very seriously. And sometimes at the detriment of other people to whom we do have an obligation and a commitment to. Not just our partners. Of
the world.
The world.
So where should we be? Somewhere in the middle, you think? Or what's...
In an examined state. I don't know that it's always in the middle, but in an examined state. In a state that doesn't just say what I like, what I feel. The fact that I have options doesn't mean I have to exercise all these options. The problem of consumer life is that we don't know anymore to make choices. Same with the cereals in the supermarket. Why would it be better with love? So I could get better. I'm like, I'm a victim of FOMO. How do I know this is the best? No, you don't.
Yeah.
When do I find the best? No, you don't. You don't find your partner. You choose your partner. It's very different. If you think you're going to find somebody who is the person who's going to make you stop looking, it doesn't work this way. Because no, it doesn't. Because at some point your inner rumblings will start up again, and then you will say, "Oh, probably
start
it's
looking."
It's like you just say, "This is it. This is where I decide to put my roots in this moment." And I'm gonna try to deepen them. I think we are all living with paradoxes of choice.
Yes.
From which phone I get, but we cannot commodify a partner and just kind of beta test the partner and beta test the relationship and check out to see, is it good enough, or can I find better? Yes, you can. The fact is, you could find other. I'm not sure it would be better, but you definitely can find other.
Yeah.
And there are lots of people you can love, and there's only a few you can make a life with. And they're not always the same. There are a lot of people you can have love stories with.
Right.
And have beauty, but they're not the person you would make a life with.
How do you know when it's the person you can make a life with?
I think values enter into there a lot more. I mean, you can have magnificent love stories with people you would never live with.
Right.
They're just too different from you. They have not the same values as you. They have not. One wants a child, one does not. One wants to travel, the other does not. One wants career, the other. Very major, different classes, different Weltanschauung, as they used to say in German. Visions of the world. But you can love them.
Yes.
You can have a beautiful love story with that person and be transported in your experience with them. But you know that that's not the person with whom you're going to build a home, a future, a trajectory, maybe a family if you want that. That's not the person with whom. And for that, you need more of shared vision, shared mission, shared values, stuff that is not just in the domain of feelings, but also in the domain of beliefs. It's different.
Wow.
Views about money, views about independence and separateness versus connection, views about emotional expressiveness, views about power.
Wouldn't you say that those differences that we have also attract us to other people? That we have some of those differences? Maybe we don't share the same values or beliefs, but it's also different, unique, interesting, and so it also brings us together? Or do you think it's not enough?
I think that what attracts you originally is often what becomes the source of conflict later. The very thing that is so attractive because it's different is also the very thing that becomes difficult because it's different.
Interesting.
So, of course, it's a mix and match, you know,
Yeah.
but what makes thriving relationships is not only feelings. It's a mix of feelings, actions, beliefs, touches, physicality. It's a more all-encompassing thing. A
Sure.
beautiful love story can be just about feelings. So, and you can love more people than those that you can make a life with. That doesn't mean you make a life with people you don't love, but it means that there is a whole other set of ingredients
Right.
that enter into the making of a life, which is the creation of a world. It's a little different. And in that world, you often can be on the side of, you know, there's a lot of sentences today that I never heard 20 years ago in couples therapy. This is a raw deal. I'm not getting my needs met. Where is my return on investment?
Wow.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Somebody owes you? It's like, wow. It's I am in a relationship for what it's going to give me. That is an important piece. Don't misunderstand me. But I'm also in a relationship for what I'm going to give to this person.
Right.
For what I'm going to give, if I want children, to these children. Not just for what they're going to bring to me. It's like the level of narcissism has to be shrunken a tiny bit on occasion.
Right. Exactly.
It's just like, you know, I mean, I'm part of that same, you know, landscape. But on
Sure.
occasion, I think it's like you calibrate it. On occasion, some of us need to really learn to think more about ourselves. And some of us really need to think more about others.
Right.
Some of us live with the fear that we're going to be abandoned. And some of us live more with the fear that we're going to lose ourselves. Some of us are better takers and need to learn to give. And some of us are consummate givers and we need to learn to take. And often we find a partner who is exactly the missing link. And that can be beautiful complementarity if we actually get to use the other person to become more whole and to learn from them. And and we need both. You need to be able to think about yourself and to know what you want and all of that. But you also need to be able to remember that others exist near you,
Right.
your family, your friends, you know, your loved ones.
Sure.
And that's what will make the difference the day you die and who will show up at your funeral, basically.
I love this conversation. I have 4 questions for you left.
Yes.
I feel like I could ask a lot more, and I want everyone to make sure they pick up the book, Mating in Captivity. We'll have it linked up here at the end. The first one is, what are you most grateful for recently in your life?
Recently in my life, I had a kind of a medical scare, so I'm actually very grateful that it turned out to be nothing.
A small boo-boo, not a big one?
It was a big boo-boo. I thought it was a big boo-boo, but it ended up being a
That's
small
great.
one. So that's
Congrats.
that's actually probably the first one that comes to me. I have, you know, I spent most of my career in the professional academic world, and in the last 2-3 years, I've really crossed over to the mainstream. And that has entered me into TED and Aspen and the entrepreneur space and Summit and Ciudad. I mean, it's worldwide. And I think that it's been a wonderful taking what I've done in the 4 walls of my office to a larger platform and being actually a psychologist, not just in the therapeutic space, but in the larger cultural space in the world. That's been a great thing. Going digital. The idea that I can actually help people and give people an elevated conversation about relationships, and that embraces the complexity and that meets them where they're at through my online courses and through this whole new platform. That's been a trip. It's been a fantastic creative journey for me. It's been just 1 year.
Right.
So I'm very grateful for that, because it's been fun, creative, new, very different for a therapist, actually, to move into kind of thought leader, if you want, and being part of a more global conversation.
Sure.
Great. And I'm actually, in many ways, I'm much happier today because I've become more, if I miss something, I no longer think, oh shit, I would never get it. It's like I used to want, I'm like, okay, it's all right. I don't have to have gone to 3 things.
Right, exactly.
Full, to go back to the beginning of our conversation, I feel that the day is full even if I haven't binged.
Okay.
I used to need to binge for
Sure.
the day to be full. I no longer feel like that.
I like that. Good things to be grateful for. Second question is, if someone's looking to find a partner, a long-term partner, a committed relationship or a marriage, what's one piece of advice you would say to go enter into that relationship, to find that relationship? If you could give one piece of advice.
Yes. Ask yourself, what do I want to give to someone? Don't just ask yourself, who do I want to meet and what characteristics do I want in that person, and make a list of all the things that the other person needs to have. Think in the reverse. What do you want to bring to somebody? What do you want to bring in, what's the love that you want to put out into the world? The love, the caring, the benevolence, over for another person. I think that's probably much better than the checklist that most people go dating with.
Here's what I want.
Yes. Here's what you need to be for me. For me to then be interested in you.
Right.
Be compelling to someone else rather than wait for them to dazzle you so that you can swipe in one direction or another.
Right. Okay.
That probably would be the first thing I would say, and that's it. That would be the most important one. And don't think just like, is this the best? You're not buying a product. No, it's not the best. Just decide in advance. But neither are you. You're just the one that you say, this is it. Because often, you pick somebody because you're ready. But there were plenty of others you met before that could have been fantastic partners for you. It's just you were not there in your life.
Right.
You were not ready for that commitment, that decision. So you were ready to have beautiful experiences, relationships, lovers, and you love these people, but you were in your 20s. What did you know about life, about wanting to build something? Now you're 33 and you say, okay, now I want to do it. So it's the timing, it's your maturity that makes you make the choice, not only the person that you are being dazzled by.
Right.
So that would be when you go dating.
I like that.